Hi, Bella, Hillary, and Margot. I am making a brief introductory Latin lesson for you on YouTube, and it's going to be keyed to your Jenney's book here. So I'm going to be referring to the Jenney's book as I speak, okay? So we're going to look at chapter 1, which begins on page 2. Bear in mind that when you need to double check about words as you go through the year, there's a glossary, which means a mini dictionary in the back of the book, okay? But we're talking mainly about nouns in Latin and about paradigms, okay? A paradigm is a grammar chart for a word. And if you look at page 2, right here, is an example of a paradigm. This is a paradigm for what we call a first declension noun. The concepts that I'm talking about may be confusing to you at first if you're not used to them. I know that some of you may be a bit used to talking about Latin, and especially about the grammatical forms of Latin, and others of you perhaps are not. But in any case, the first thing we're going to look at is this paradigm, this chart. Okay, so as you can see, if you look over here where the words are, puella means girl. And if you look in the list here, you'll see that it says puella, and then it says -AE, and then it says F, and it gives you the definition. Okay, so the thing to remember, someone's at the door. The thing to remember when you are looking at Latin nouns, and you'll get more used to it, is that this little AE at the end, the little AE at the end tells you what declension the noun is. Now that's not going to mean very much to you right now. It's just going to mean that, so the whole concept is confusing and fuzzy. Don't worry about that too much. Just sort of try to get it in your head that if you see an AE after the word, that means that it's first declension. And what that actually means is going to fill in as we go through the year, and you'll understand it better. Okay, so the point is that Latin nouns express meaning through endings. And that's the whole point of this chart right here. Basically, Latin nouns have what's called 5 cases. Again, this is all going to be very confusing until you go through it again and again and again, and after a while, you're going to get used to it, okay? So one of the things that we need to learn in this first chapter is what the endings are for the cases, and what the names of the cases are, and what the cases mean in a general way, okay? So you'll see the first thing that you have to learn, and just chant this to yourself until you've got it in your head, or begin to get it in your head, because this is part of what we need to learn for chapter 1, is the names of these 5 cases: nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. Say those to yourselves over and over again, and you may see that if you forget the order of them, the order is in reverse alphabetical order. Okay? And then you'll notice that there are 2 grammatical numbers, singular and plural. So every noun is going to have 10 different forms with 10 different endings that you'll have to learn. And you need to learn all the endings. The best way is to learn a model word like puella. So you're going to say for the singular puella, puelle, puelle, puellam, puella. Notice it's got a little line in the ablative, a macron over the top of it. And then for the plural, puelle, puellarum, puellis, puellas, puellis. And those fit in nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative in the singular. And again, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative in the plural. So you're going through those cases twice, as you can see if you look at the chart. So the endings are a, a, with the line over it, a long a. And then again in the plural, a, arum, is, as, is. The point is, with any of the words over here, you can chop off what's called the stem and put those endings on the stem for those meanings, right? So let's take the first word over here in the list. It's agricola, okay? So how can you tell where the stem is and where the ending is? Well, notice that if you look at the chart for puella, the nominative singular is puella, and the ending is just an A. Puella. So if you chop off that A for any of these words, everything that's left is the stem. And that's what you stick the endings on. So if you're doing agricola, which means farmer, well, it's agricola, chopped the A off, and the stem is agricole, right? So you're going to put all those endings on it. You're going to say agricola, agricole, agricole, agricolam, agricola, agricole, agricolarum, agricolis, agricolas, agricolis. Okay? That's how the series of endings works for every word. You can do that for all the words over here, and you might want to practice that a bit. So you'll learn the names of the cases. You'll learn the names of the numbers that go up top, singular and plural. There's only 2 numbers, and there's 5 cases to know. Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. And then we have to learn the meanings. Okay? Now, in the chart over here, one thing to notice is they tell you that there's no general meaning for the ablative, but get it in your head that, at least according to me, there is a general meaning for the ablative, and it's useful to learn it. Okay? So nominative is the case of the subject. We're going to worry about each of these cases in detail when we come to them, but we need to learn them as a whole just at the beginning so that we can work with them later on. So nominative is the case of the subject. Okay, if you've got a sentence with a subject in it, so the boy sees the teacher. Okay, so the boy is the subject there because he's doing the seeing. So nominative is the case of the subject. You remember that. For genitive, just remember the word of. The king of France, right? France is going to go in the genitive case. Okay, so then dative, remember to or for. Okay, so if you're giving something to somebody, the person that you're giving it to is going to go in the dative. Or if you're doing something for somebody, then for, whatever you're doing it for, that word, whoever you're doing it for, that word is going to go into the dative case. And then accusative is the case of the direct object. So remember we said something, I can't remember what I said, but something like the boy sees the teacher, right? And we said the boy is the subject because he's doing the seeing. Who's the one who gets seen? Well, that's the teacher, so that's the direct object, right? So John throws the ball is the direct object. John is the subject. So accusative is the case of the direct object. Ablative, remember for genitive you learn the word of. For dative you learn the word to or for. For ablative, learn the word by or with. Remember, that's not written in the book, so you'll have to get that in your head from listening to me and put it in your notes perhaps. Okay. So nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative, those are the names of the cases, and then along with them, girl subject. Let's use girl as a model world. Girl subject, of the girl, to or for the girl direct object, by or with the girl. So those are the names of the cases, and those are what the cases mean in a general way. Now, we're not going to be actually learning how to use all these things all at once, but you need to master the concepts that I've just given you. So if I ask you in a quiz, what's the nominative case used for? You'll want to say the subject. How could you translate something in the dative case? Use to or for. What are the cases in order? Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative, like that. Okay? And you have to know the endings, and you have to know how to stick the endings on a word. So I could give you a word. I could say silva, silve, which is forest, and it's got an F after it if you look over there in the vocabulary words, right? So if I asked you to make a paradigm, remember that's the name of the chart here, you'd put S and P, singular and plural, at the top. Then you'd write nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative on the sides. Then for nominative singular, you'd write forest subject, right? And then you'd write over in the plural column, for nominative, you'd write forests subject. For the genitive, you would write, you have to put down the Latin too. I left that out myself. Puella for the singular, puellae for the nominative plural. For the genitive, you'd put puellae and, silve. It's silva and silve, not puella and puellae. Then for the genitive, you would have silve in the genitive. And for the plural, you'd have silvarum, right? So those mean of the forest and of the forests, plural. And then for dative, that's going to be to or for. We're going to have silve. Again, notice some of the endings are used for different things. Okay, and then silvis, and those would be translated to or for the forest and to or for the forests. That's the dative case. And then for the accusative, you'd write down sylvam and sylvas, and that would be forest direct object, forests direct object, and then sylva with a macron over the A and a line, and sylvis again, and that would be buyer with the forest and buyer with the forests. So if you wrote all that down correctly with the correct endings and the correct translations, the correct names of the 5 cases, and the names of the 2 grammatical numbers, singular and plural, on the top, then you would have gotten all the points right on the paradigm exercise. Okay? Let's talk about a couple of other things. Okay, you'll see on the bottom of page 2, it talks about predicate nominatives. Okay, so because we're only doing the nominative case, we're talking about how to use the nominative case, even though we're memorizing how all these cases work, we're only working on the nominative case in this chapter. We're not going to have any direct objects. So we're not going to have a sentence like, the boy sees the teacher, because the teacher is a direct object and it's going to go in the accusative case. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a linking verb, and there's 2 of them over here, est and sunt, down at the bottom. We'll talk more about verbs and verb forms in later chapters. But those kind of verbs don't take direct objects. Because if you say the boy sees the teacher, right? It's like person A sees person B. And person B is going to be the direct object, and it's going to go in the accusative case. But suppose I say the boy is a teacher. Well, they're the same person. It's not person A doing something to person B, right? It's person A, and then you're redescribing person A in another way. So that's a predicate nominative and not a direct object. The boy is a teacher, the boy was a teacher, the boy seems like a teacher, the boy will be a teacher. All of those things are going to have predicate nominatives, and the thing that might look like a direct object at the end is going to go into the nominative case. Okay? So all you're dealing with for any of the sentence practice sentences or any of the readings or anything like that is if you have a sentence, if you wanted to say for example, the girl is a, let's see, what do we have here? The girl is a farmer. Let's say you wanted to say that. You've got your words over here, so you'd say puella est agricola, or you could put the est at the end. The girl is a farmer. You're going to put that in the nominative case. So that's another thing you need to know. What's a predicate nominative? A predicate nominative, it looks like a direct object, but it is the same as the subject. It's a redescription of the subject in another way, joined by a linking verb, okay, like is or was or seems like or something like that. All right. Over on page 4, there's a couple of other concepts that you need to know. Okay, at the top it says helps and hints. So in the list of vocabulary over here, what you see is after every verb, first declension noun, sorry, after every noun, first declension nouns are almost all feminine. And F means feminine, but there's a couple of them that are not. So agricola is masculine by grammatical nature, okay, and that's what the M means after it. There's also neuter, so there are 3 genders in Latin, masculine, feminine, and neuter. Nouns have gender, verbs don't have gender, okay. So whenever you're learning the form of a noun, one of the things you need to learn is what gender it is, okay. So you're going to want to, if you learn how to say girl, you learn puella, puelle, that's the AE after it, and then F for feminine. That's called dictionary form, and we'll talk about that later. So the little F's and M's and N's that you see after nouns, they tell you what gender it is, masculine, feminine, or neuter. First declension, almost all feminine, but a few, like farmer and poet and sailor, end up being masculine. Okay, so another point is in the word study here. And what it tells you is, in English, we have these little articles, right, which tell us whether we're talking about a particular example of something. The dog means some particular dog. A dog means some dog that isn't a particular dog. You don't know about that dog, probably, right? So they don't have that in Latin. They just leave that out. So if you want to say the girl, you say puella. And if you want to say a girl, you say puella. And in the plural, there is no a or an, right? So you don't have to worry about that. But just you have to sort of clear the whole idea of the and out of your mind. You don't use it in Latin. But when you're translating from Latin, you have to kind of figure out which one works best. in the sentence. All of these things will become clearer as we go along. Okay, I think that's about it for your grammar lesson. And don't worry too much. I plan to have a Zoom with you sometimes soon, next week, and we'll get a chance to go over all of this in person. But I wanted to welcome you to my Latin class and to give you an introductory lesson. The class hasn't actually gotten to this yet. And because I won't be able to meet with you as often as I meet with the class, I wanted to kind of get you ahead of the game, okay? So I'm not giving you any tests or quizzes or anything like that. If you don't know how Jupiter Grade works, get used to look around on Jupiter Grades, make sure that you can use it, because we'll be doing some things, uploading some things, maybe taking some brief quizzes and things like that on Jupiter Grades. And take a look at the book. See, you might want to see, I'm not assigning any of this quite yet, but you might want to see how you can fare with the exercises. Take a word and see if you can put it in the case that is asked for, or take a Latin word and see if you can translate it, or follow the instructions, give the case and number and give the translation. So you might want to play around with those a little bit, those exercises on page 5. Okay, well, God bless you all, and I hope that sometime soon I'll be able to see you and work with you in person. And like I said, I'm thinking of doing a Zoom with you sometime early next week. Okay, bye-bye. God bless.